Welcome back, friend. We are now going to take a look at the solar plex center, which is the emotional intelligence function. This is about selling pleasure and truth. You guys have seen these slides if you're walking through this sequentially. The material plane, the goal in all of this is to attract money in the correct way. Satisfaction, success, peace, awe. This has to be the focus. Because if we're focusing in on money's never ever going to bring these feelings. It has to start with the alignment of your design, and then the attraction process happens. Making more money will never be satisfying. Being satisfied while making money is a totally different story. So here you'll learn how you naturally sell and how you can also see how you are sold as well. Because this openness is the doorways in and the doorways out. Your clients come in here, but you go out those doors to find the wisdom so that you can then eventually gain the wisdom, gain the understanding and knowledge, and then sell it to someone else. So the material world is the third line process. The third line is the heart of what it is to make money and be materially successful. The third line is that trial and error process. Everybody needs the trial and error process because it gains copious amounts of wisdom on this material world. It truly is about embracing failure. Because the third line knows how to adapt, it knows how to pivot, it's very innovative, it's creative, it's the martyr, it's the anarchist, and it will break down the old so that those new innovations can come through. Capitalism and the material way. I discussed the 54. Remember, the 54 is this ambition that is moving to a new capitalism when we move into 2027, that anarcho-capitalist. That's what we're moving towards. So now let's just review the solar plex. The theme is that emotional intelligence. This provides the potent energy driving the cyclical nature of the human experience. So remember, the 53 to the 43 is the format energy. That format energy is cyclical. And that cyclical energy also operates in a wave because it is ruled over here through the solar plex. What I didn't add, and I should have, I apologize for that, the concentration piece of the splenic center when we talked about the feel-good aspect of what we're selling. It's about concentration. This is about cycles. So it contains the desire frequency. There's sex. There is revolution. There's poetry. There's romance. There's compassion. There's passion. There is spirituality and religion. We seek to prolong the highs of the waves and stay connected to spirit. We do everything in our power to avoid those lows of that unfulfilled expectation and that sense of separation. The passion for acoustic connection, the needs for basic resources will be within this connection. The nervousness is the indicator that the emotional intelligence requires more time. So, if you have it defined in your chart, this isn't going to be a massive moneymaker for you, but you will recognize how nervousness is an indicator that emotional intelligence requires more time. If it's undefined and it is a moneymaker in your design, you are going to be able to capitalize on that nervousness of others. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying your representation of riding that pleasure and that pain, having that pleasure principle come to fruition so that the people that are emotional can recognize it is okay to ride that emotional wave. So you're going to be able to capitalize on that. Feelings and emotions, sensitivity, this allows us to gain a sense of emotional clarity and well-being. When a person's emotions run unconstrained over time, the physical well-being of several organ systems are directly affected. Over here, we have the kidneys, we have the skin, we have the lungs, we have the prostate. So many organs sit over here. Water retention and weight gain can happen over here when we have unresolved emotional issues. The splenic side, remember, I added this in this when we talked about the spleen. The spleen is bringing in money. This is capitalism. But the solar plex, this is usually where money's getting put out. This is socialism. We want to be able to fulfill that pleasure, get that pleasure. So we will pay for it. The emotional wave. You have seen these different wave functions and the images of this before. So this is designed to move the inner authority through the ups and downs of the experience, so all of the intelligence, good or bad, can be grokked out of the experience. Patience is the important aspect. Waiting for clarity. Clarity feels like calmness, unemotional, no nervousness. The advantages of waiting makes you more desirable, and the circumstances change, and the mental decision would have caused emotional distress. So why are we showing the emotional wave here? Because the entire solar plexus system is built off of this motor function. And the awareness potential, that's coming out starting in 2027. The motor function is only going to be attached to the 30 and the 36. All the rest of the gates out of the solar plex will be awareness centers, or awareness gates. So this is brought forward to you so that you can recognize if this is where you're making money, know that the people you are selling to are going through these highs and lows. They want to just stay on the high, and then they drop into the low, and they get very depressed, and they don't know why they do this. You get to recognize through your product, through whatever service you're selling, that you get to honor the highs and the lows, because the valleys, when people drop into the pain, this is the most intelligent aspect in my belief. Why? This is where the deepest soul searching is happening. We're on the highs of the wave, when the collective's on the highs, feels like there's just this free-for-all, and there's no actual self-reflection. But when we're in the lows, that's where self-reflection happens. This is also important to look at this mandala. Consciousness, conscious intelligence happens in the breath. I say this often. That diaphragm is our key to our connection with consciousness. The balance of the in and the out. That's what the pH is doing. It's balancing us. Consciousness is housed in the expansion and contraction of the diaphragm. So the emotional intelligence is from the consciousness field, and the way to clarity is through the breath. Consciousness provides the intelligence of what provocative passion will bring mutation, what desire will bring progress, and what needs are to be fulfilled. So when we look at the 39 and the 12, what provocative passion will bring mutation? When we look at the 41 and the 35, what desire will bring progress? And what needs of the 19 can be fulfilled or will be fulfilled in the 49? That all happens through the consciousness, and it is connected to us through our breath. So there's the feels. We're feeling, we're touching. There's acoustic here, that ear. So when it's defined, if it's defined in your body graph in an unhealthy state, making poor choices by being emotionally impulsive, jumping on that spontaneity. So creating an environment of chaos, blowing up and bringing that very distorted emotional energy. But the healthy state, you're energized by your emotions. One of the words that Ra uses is, now it just left me. I can't remember the word. So I'll just move on. You are energized again by your emotions. What is correct for you, you patiently wait. You gain so much intelligence over time. You get to sleep on it. The consequences change, great. If they don't, the decision is still there to be percolating. Being on the highs and the lows of your wave is so profound. When I watch someone with an emotional wave, it actually, it does make me tired. However, I know the intelligence that they're pulling out of the matrix. And I'm not doing that. I am sacral driven. I'm not emotionally driven. So I can honor that movement. I can honor it and watch it. So the undefined shadow, the not self of this, when it's touchy, it's nervous, it's defensive, of course, we know. It tries to avoid confrontation and truth. Doesn't want to upset anybody. It's pretending to be nice. Leads a secret life, trying not to upset the apple cart. But the wisdom here is that you're emotionally quiet and detached. Can be very empathetic. You don't get caught up in the drama of others. Confronts the truth when necessary. And there's a deep wisdom about how emotions affect you and others. And then when it's completely open, in my experience, seeing those beings that have a completely open solar plex, it is very interesting. If they have been highly conditioned by the emotionality of others, what I've noticed is that they end up with twitches in the skin. They end up with nervous disabilities with their nerves. They don't know how to feel. They don't know how to process emotions, so they can get very, very overwhelmed. But what design does is teaches you to focus in on your own strategy and the inner authority that is yours. And then once that focus is there, instead of focusing over here, then all of a sudden they can begin to recognize how things are moving through them. There's no quote-unquote catcher's mitt here to process or filter. So it's just allowing everything to flow through. For me, I have 3 different centers in my body graph that are completely open. And, of course I'm biased. I'm going to give you my subjective opinion or subjective belief, I guess, about it. My subjective experience is that I don't feel like I have a completely open G. I don't feel like I don't have a direction, or that I have the only direction. Totally open head, totally open Ajna. It's not as though I can't recognize inspiration, or that I can't recognize how to concretize things. It's just different all the time. So the emotionality here is kind of the same type of thing. It's going to just never be consistent how you process a room, how you walk into your family's dining room and everybody's around the table, how you process that emotion versus processing something when you walk into the office building. It's always going to be malleable. That's how I see open centers. They're very, very malleable. You know, today with the clay, you might make a little house. Tomorrow, you might make a nice car. It's always moving and meshing and malleable. So what you're doing here is you are selling pleasure and truth. You have this undefined. If this is one of your sales places that you're selling, it's undefined in your body graph. So get past avoiding the confrontation with the truth of what you are. You can find the pleasure of what it is to be you. Emotional people, because 50% are emotional, 50% are not emotional. You know, those percentages are, I think it's 47 or close to 50. Those that are emotional are pressured so greatly to not honor that wave, to always be at the highs, to make spontaneous decisions. They're always pressured to do that. They always want that pleasure. That's why porn is a big thing. That's why food is a big thing. That's why sex and romance novels and sleek cars and large mansions and all of these things are very, they're talking to a pleasure principle. Most of the time, though, what will happen is that the emotions buy in the highs and then they go into absolute buyer's remorse in the lows. And of course, what's happening over here? I want to buy my pleasure. There's always money going out here. Half of humanity is here to be sold on pleasure. They're looking for pleasure, and they will pay for loyalty. People want to get rid of the emotions when they are down. People look for pleasure when they are on their wave. But what you and I get to do is we get to recognize that. So when I am selling this particular coaching program, I definitely do not put people on the spot because it is not honoring who they are. If it's not the right timing, it's not the right timing. So as a synopsis of what we're going to be looking at here. The 6, this is the source wave. This is conflict. This is the fear of intimacy, the awareness of balance, selling pleasure through allegiance. Now we saw something similar over in the Splenic Center, having allies. This is an allegiance. Allegiance feels different. Allies are more individual. Allegiance is this tribal allegiance. The 37, this family, fear of tradition, awareness of who will provide. Selling pleasure through maintaining order. This is the bargain, the tribal bargain. The 19 has needs. The 49 says, obey me. The 37 says, let's write the bargain. And then the 40 will either deny or deliver the goods. 49 is this fear of rejection. This is revolution. Awareness as to what is needed. Selling pleasure through that popular discontent. We're in 2020 right now when I'm recording this. There is massive popular discontent all over the world. Human beings are split. We are divided so greatly. And the popular discontent is palpable. And people just want to come to a place of pleasure. The 22 is this openness, this fear of silence, awareness to provoke socialness or not. Here we are selling pleasure by listening to what people want. The 55, spirit abundance. This is fear of emptiness, awareness of provocation, selling pleasure through innocence. If we can just innocently sit in our frequency, man, life would just look so different on this planet. Each one of us could accept the other's innocence, could accept the other's uniqueness. It's big. The 36 of crisis, this is a fear of inadequacy. And that inadequacy is being socially inept and sexually inept. Sorry, this isn't, yes, social and sexually, yes. I apologize. The awareness and power to release a feeling. Remember, the 41 is contracting down. Has all of these feelings, but we need to contract down to one feeling. And the 36 releases that so that it can have the experience of that one feeling. Here we get to sell the pleasure of riding the wave. Every single experience that we have, we're inexperienced until we experience it. There's billions and billions of different experiences I have never ever had, so I have no experience in it. So it's that pleasure of riding those waves, feeling that little bit of nervousness, riding that out, enjoying the highs and the lows. The 30 is this feeling, this clinging fire, this fear of the fates. Awareness of a feeling. Hey, there is a desire here. There is a feeling here. I'm aware of this. Okay. Let's maybe step towards that experience and release this feeling so that we can ride out this nervousness. Selling pleasure and accepting your fate or not. Something that I have said numerous times in many of my videos. I am 5'1". I am never going to be an NBA basketball player. Period. That's accepting my fate, and there's pleasure in that. That's the meat suit I was given. So as we walk through this, so the 6 is paying for loyalty. If the loyalty is tested, there is no allegiance. We are looking for allegiance. We are looking for support. People go into their lows and they want to have support in those lows. They are looking for a tribe. So if we're trying to assert control over the other in a relationship, it is totally doomed. This is not about controlling your client. This is about creating an allegiance, an alignment to, and not being put to the loyalty test. This is the balance of power. The correct bonding creates productive allegiances. Nurture the relationship over time. Others are in pain and they want to move out of that position. This can be a very productive, reproductive energy, especially if it connects to the 59. These allegiances, when you get a loyal allegiance together, and there's a movement in that, it's very, very palpable. Coaches creating allegiances with their people and supporting them in times of their weakest position. This can be cross promotions, where a coffee shop and a gas station, that's what we have a lot of here in Canada. Tim Hortons coffee shops with the Esso? I believe it's the Esso. And then Petrocan with the A&Ws. Joint ventures. This is where two people have been working together for a very long time. They're both building their email lists. They're creating an allegiance together, and then they cross-promote and have joint ventures with each other's lists. So here's where you can an allegiance to the following, an allegiance to the power of large groups. The power that comes along when humanity walks together. These are all things that you can look at in selling. How do we create an allegiance? The 49, selling pleasure through popular discontent. So ideally, the transformation of forms based on the higher principles and not simply for power. This isn't about the riots. This is about the protest. This isn't about, I'm going to protest because I want to take over your power. This is, I'm going to protest because I want to take back my power. I own the cow and you can have a piece of it. What do you say? A wave that either accepts or rejects principles based on the needs of the tribe, the nervousness about rejection, unpredictability, and consequences. This is the butcher. The butcher wants to be obeyed. The 49, it will crank up the emotional system. This is popular discontent. Who isn't being loyal? Who isn't being loyal? How much money have you spent to guarantee loyalty? We're looking at the socialist aspect. When there's popular unhappiness, this is a place for us to make money. So easy to sell revolutions. There's material loyalty. I pay you, so do what I say. The 19 flirts, and now that you got me, do what I say. It's the oldest infrastructure. I'm paying for your loyalty. Never usually works. However, that's how this operates right now. Governments, give me your taxes. I'll build you a hospital. There's popular discontent. We don't have a nice enough hospital. Give me your taxes. Businesses, don't like the way business has been run? We are doing something revolutionary and different. Protests, marches. right now, there's the whole mask or not debate. People are making billions of dollars right now selling masks. That's selling pleasure through popular discontent. People feel secure. There's this sense of pleasure that they get out of being secure. We're looking at our needs. And the whole popular discontent is that there's a big movement to overthrow governments right now. We've been giving you our taxes for how long, and this is what you do to us? So there's lots of different aspects to play around with here. Take a look at the world right now. Right now is a big time to see how to sell pleasure through popular discontent. You can have a headhunting business. People have discontent about their current business or like career. You come along and offer them some new money and some new benefits, provide them pleasure through that discontent. There's many, many different ways to do this. The family, awareness of who will provide. This is selling pleasure through maintaining order. What do we have here, you guys? We have bargains. This is the bargain. How do we police ourselves? This is about restricting pleasure to keep everybody in control. But there is a pleasure behind order. People feel safe. Now, we used a lot of safety over in the splenic side, but safety is also over here. Because this is tribe. The tribe is totally focused in on our needs. You know, somebody's always going to break the rules. But we need to have bargains in order to keep the order. Socialism, bargains and contracts are deep in the socialist world. I will give you what you need, but you must vote for me. You're buying the vote. We'll fund more police. You buy the vote. Or right now the movement is to defund the police. Trade organizations, policing each other. You know, keeping an internal standard to maintain order, which then brings pleasure. People that walk in or use your service know that there's a high standard that brings them pleasure. Why? Because they feel as though their needs are being met. The 55, this is the awareness of provocation, selling pleasure through innocence. Abundance is strictly a question of spirit. A melancholy that a person has comes from this fear of emptiness. I have no spirit. I'm broken. I'm broken in my spirit. Nervousness arising out of not knowing what to be passionate about. The coming mutation will eventually change our romance with riches. We will finally get the spirit. The world of enterprise is all about failure, minimal profit, and struggle. This is what plagues the spirit. You know, we are not going to be so caught up with a money game. We are going to be caught up with our own inner truth, our own integrated experience. So if what plagues your spirit, this is what plagues your spirit. Is that failure, is that, struggle for profit. Avoiding truth plagues your spirit. So if failure matters to you, success will never be yours. Life is meant to be an adventure. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fall down. It is okay. It doesn't matter. I was just following orders. If we can innocently stand in our spirits, there is a great abundance of pleasure there. Having our needs met. This is choiceless. This is a choiceless geometry that you and I are inhabiting. It's a choiceless geometry. Sometimes you might have a series of bankruptcies. Just enjoy it. Maybe you win the lottery 5 or 6 times in your life. Enjoy it. But you spend it all. Enjoy that too. Then you go bankrupt. Enjoy it. Human design, you have no choice. Selling the I'm okay, you're okay, failure's okay. Life's an adventure. Step out of your comfort zone. The bucket list, go do whatever it is that you want to do. Go have those experiences. Just innocently do that. If we are caught up in the money game, the abundance of our spirit will never be fulfilled. We will continue to feel empty. There is no amount of money, there is no amount of stuff that is ever going to fill us up. What fills us up is satisfaction, peace, surprise, and success. 22 is this awareness to provoke socialness or not, the pleasure by listening to what other people want. A quality of behavior just or best suited in handling mundane and trivial situations. This is the fear of silence. Open to listening when in the mood, fearful that there is not going to be anything worthwhile listening to. What you get to do is that you get to hear other people and get to know what they really want, what they actually really need. So you get to know what they want so that you know how to bring them to that new, innovative, whatever it is. So you make sure you listen to your clients so you can give them what they want and what they are demanding. People want something that's going to solve their problems. What is the passion that's built right into that want? So in human design languages, we're telling you, follow your strategy and authority. Relax into it. We're listening. We know you want better relationships. We know that you want to make more money. We know that you want to have a healthy family dynamic. And we know that you want to be connected to your spirit and be more intuitive. How do you do it? It's simple. Decision-making strategy. Do some market research. These are the citizen journalists interviewing, finding different viewpoints. The enchanter. That 22, that gate of grace. Gracefully listening. What is it that they want? This is about being very attentive. Remember, the 22 has that attentive energy to it. Attentive to the mutation. Attentive. So in order for your business to really succeed, this is going to be a huge part of it. Do your market research and listen to what people are wanting. And then you get to deliver what they actually need. Because wants and needs, totally different. The 30, this is that clinging fire, the awareness of a feeling or not. There's this desire. There's a feeling there. So accepting your fate or not. That freedom recognized as an illusion and limitation accepted as a fate. The fear of the fates produces a very powerful wave fueled by desire to feel deeply. The nervousness about what might or might not happen. The abstract and the logic are so totally different in this. So the abstract, if you do this and this and this, you get that. Or sorry, the logic, if you do this and this and this, you get that. The abstract, if you do this, you don't get that. The fates are always waiting to kind of pull the rug out from underneath you. That's why no matter how much planning logic does, how much projection it does into the future, how much correcting it does for patterns, you put a human in there and it usually ends up being something completely different. So they expect that their expectations will be fulfilled, but the fates always stand in the way. Expectations are not guarantees. You have to deal with life. You have to accept what you are. If you are not equipped to get the expectation that you have, you're never ever going to get it. You're never going to get there. So it's about resigning, resignation. Here's my fate. When we're looking at coaching, when we're looking at personal trainers, there is no way that this little tiny body, this female little tiny body, is ever going to walk into a gym and lift 400 pounds. Not ever going to happen. I could train until I'm 200 years old. Ain't gonna happen. There's a limitation and I'm resigned to that. Accepting my fate, accepting my frequency, accepting my design. Accepting that, I can't run this business by myself. Accepting that my husband and I at times need help on the farm. Resigning to the fact that no matter how much planning goes into any of it, accepting that the fates have a trajectory for us. That's why on this side, setting goals is virtually we can set them, we can do all we want. But if that is not the trajectory we are designed to be on, we could write goals out all day long. But what usually happens is that we have these goals and there's expectations, how they should work, how they should do. There's all these people online that tell you this is how it should work. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that setting a goal isn't a good thing. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying understand that there can be roadblocks. There can be expectations that are not designed for you. And it's about just accepting that and not dropping into the slump of it. The 36, this is the awareness to release that feeling. Selling pleasure of riding the wave. Again, these cycles, there's decline, there's natural decline. This is where the gems are, inside those valleys. When we go through that decline, that's really where our flowering is. People often need guidance in times of decline. There's always peaks, there's always valleys, there's this natural rise and fall. This is the stock markets. I dabble a little bit in the stock market myself. And of course, I want all the best stock picks. Who doesn't? Do I get that? No. Have I lost money? Yes. auctioneers. This is, when to buy, when to sell. Coaches, movies, books, human design. There's always a transition. And those transitions happen in those peaks and those valleys. We looked at this. The transition aspect, those ups and those downs and those ups. This is where the gold is. This is where the gems are, especially down here. And take a look at the stock market. You don't want to be buying up here. You want to be buying down here. Moving that up. But all too often, what happens? People buy up here. Not only in the stock market, but in life. They jump on something. Oh, I'm so excited. Buyer's remorse. So we want to grab them while they're here. They're in that pain piece. We want to move them up and work with them. Sell them the services. Maybe they just got into a massive car accident and you're a physiotherapist. Anybody that's super healthy and has a really strong body, they're not coming to you. It is this. They're coming to you here. Speaking to that pain. Showing them how you can get to them to the top of the mountain. This is business 101. Here's my problem. What's my solution? So play with this. See how you are designed to sell if this is a part of your sales force. For me, it's the 30 and the 36. Accepting who you are. I talk about that continuously in every single one of my coaching programs and every single one of my interactions with clients. This is who you are. If you're trying to force yourself to be something else, it is not good. Right now, I'm working with someone and we are, it's for the International Human Design School. And she asked me to come out to the project because of my variables. Now, I have 2 variables that are pointing to the right. My brain, body, and my mind are right-focused variables. And everybody else in the team are all left. So she wanted a right, I shouldn't say perspective, because my perspective and my environment are left. But she wanted a right being to be in the program. And she wanted feedback. So I'm giving her my feedback. And what she said to me was, no, read it like this. Well, I can't read it like that. I can't read it the way she wants me to read it. So she's trying to fit me into her box. Well, the whole point of human design is that that's impossible. So accepting that I am different and honoring that is huge. And I can honor how she has put things together because I can recognize the leftness in there. But she's having a hard time being able to recognize my rightness, if that makes sense. So accepting our fates, there's pleasure in that. There's full pleasure in that, especially after 7.5, 8 years. I don't know how long I've been in design, but long enough. To accept it and the relaxation that comes with that. Watching those highs and lows. Being able to recognize how myself, I'm watching the world go through those highs and lows. And watching the pleasure of that. Watching how people are in the pain. And being able to give them a hand out to bring them to the top of the mountain. That's big. So take a look at all of this. We will, of course, we're going to walk through many coaching days about the profit potential, because that's what everybody would like to do, is make more money. And again, it isn't about making money. It's about being aligned and let the money flow to you. All right, friend, play along, play around, and we will talk to you in the next video.